Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Meg Moonbeam YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. I'm very happy to be here today with my friend Red Pill Rooster, aka Luke. How's it going?
Going great. Thanks for having me on, Meg. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. I just noticed we're both in the black, and I've got the lighter background, and
Yeah,
you've got the darker. We're kind of matching right now.
yeah. We
Very,
got the yin and yang thing going here.
yeah. So yeah, welcome everybody. I'm very happy to do this video with Red Pill Rooster. We're going to be talking about the truth about the Los Angeles fires. And we're already feeling some pretty intense things. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, just want to shout out Luke's link. So you can go check out his book, Confessions of a Conspiracy Theorist. Don't forget to take your red pills over on Amazon. I love that title. Every time I say that, I just love it. I'm about 60% through and just started reading it recently and absolutely love it. I think you've done an amazing job with this book. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very well written, going through all the points of your own personal story and the reasons why you become a conspiracy theorist and what led you to your certain beliefs about things. So yeah, go check that out, you guys. It's absolutely awesome, and maybe something good to gift to people that are also possibly just waking up, going through that wake up process as well. And you can find Luke over at Rumble at his Red Pill Rooster 17 Rumble channel. And also on TikTok, you're becoming a TikToker over there.
Yeah.
TikTok seems to be working very well for you. Was it TikTok? What you got your other TikTok suspended, right? What happened with that?
Yeah, this is account number 3 for me. So the funny thing was, this is number 3. On number 2, I was at like 10,000 followers, and I did a post about freedom, actually. And freedom in America, and that post got me completely suspended off of TikTok.
Wow.
You can actually see that post now over on Rumble, but I thought it was kind of funny that a post about freedom in America got me banned by a social media platform in China. So the irony just keeps rolling.
The irony is there. That is absolutely wild. And I think this was, when was this? A couple or a few weeks ago, you put out this TikTok video, 2025 LA fires. And I love, by the way, your new format of kind of videos where you're like, 3 days ago, I just did a meditation on the LA fires, and here's what I got. I love that.
Thank you.
So your videos on TikTok are really cool. And when I saw this video, I thought, oh my God, I'd love to have a conversation with Luke about the LA fires, since you're not just a fellow conspiracy theorist and truther, but you've lived in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So how are you feeling being someone that you've actually lived in LA? How long was it? 10 years that you lived in LA?
Yeah, I lived in LA 10 years, and we left about 3 years ago, and it was intense. I'm not going to lie. For the last 2 years that I was there, I mean, quite frankly, I would wake up with anxiety every day. And I would feel it throughout the day. It was just every day I felt like I need to get out of here. Something bad is going to happen here. And I lived in Brentwood, which, if you're familiar with LA, I mean, Brentwood is right between Beverly Hills and Santa Monica. If you're not living in $1 million mansion in Beverly Hills, Brentwood's just about the nicest part of LA that you can be in. It's very family friendly.
Right.
You know, you got people walking their dogs around town, and you got your Whole Foods there. I mean, I shopped at the same Whole Foods as oh my gosh, her name is slipping my name right now, but she was in that movie Black Swan.
Oh, Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman. She shopped at the same Whole Foods I shopped at. So I mean, and by the way, Brentwood, not far away from the Palisades. I mean, wow. We're talking a 10-minute drive. I know people that were living up in the hills, and yeah, I definitely, I mean, I'm grateful that we are not there and weren't there to deal with that, because I remember years ago, there was a fire that happened, and I don't know if it ever got a name, but I remember I looked out the window of my apartment and I could see the glow of red just far enough away. I mean, it was nighttime. It was hard to tell exactly how close it was, but one of my tenants had came banging on my door. There's a fire. You need to get out. You need to get out. And, my daughter was, an infant at the time. So I told my wife, hey, let's get our stuff. Let's grab the bags. We already had our bags packed just in case. And we grabbed the bags, we grabbed the baby. We drove out of town and went down and actually stayed at my mom's, down in my mom's apartment. She had come to LA to basically come be close to us and be close to her granddaughter for, the time that she was an infant, and she was about 30 minutes away. So we headed out of there. So, I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like to be there now and, not have someplace to go.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's freaking intense. And what year was it that you guys moved out of LA?
We left in 2022. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Recently.
Yeah.
That's
It was wild. I mean, after 2020 and the election, it was just, I remember going through a moment where every day you sort of were waking up realizing, or at least I was waking up realizing, oh man, this is way worse than I thought that it was.
wow.
And just sort of that bad feeling in the pit of your stomach, like, oh, you're feeling sick to your stomach type of thing, as you realize like the courts aren't going to do anything about this. They're not going to look at this, and nothing's going to be overturned. And I was like, oh man, this is like really bad. And
Yep.
I want to get out of here. And LA, I mean, look, it was already, even before 2020, I mean, look, there's a large homeless population. A lot of people do drugs right on the streets in the open. And, the day that I was like, all right, this absolutely has to end, like we have to go somewhere else, was I was pushing my daughter in the stroller. We were going down to Ralph's. I was taking her to the grocery store. Got to go pick up some groceries and stuff. And a guy is sitting on the side of the street, right up against the store that we're going to go into. And he shoots up right there. And he nods out, passes out right in front of us. And my daughter is, around 2 years old at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And she just goes, that man is sleeping, Papa. And I was just like, oh, yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
In more ways than one.
Yeah.
Wild.
That is wild. So you were grounded, you and your wife were grounded, and I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision for you guys to leave Los Angeles.
I mean, yes and no. By the time that we had our second child, by the time my son was born, and we just really, we wanted to, be homeowners, and we wanted to have a life for our children and raise them somewhere that we didn't have to worry about. We would always take our kids up to this park that was about a mile away. And, it doesn't make sense to get in the car all the time. So we'd had this double stroller, we'd push them to the park, but no joke. And again, Brentwood, beautiful, wonderful place to live, except after COVID happened, so many homeless people came in. I mean, within 18 months of living there, when we initially moved in, there was about 3 homeless people in our area, and they were veterans. They kept their area high and tight. They cleaned it up every day. They took their tents down. They packed it up. They swept the sidewalk, like very respectable, and like decent people. I don't know why they lived on the streets. I didn't talk to them, but not bad people to live next to in the way of, having homeless people. And then within 12 months, no joke, we had roughly 500 plus homeless people living within 2 or 3 blocks of that area.
Oh my God.
And there was this area called Veterans Row where, I mean, it was just lined with tents, and people would just come by and drop off food or blankets, and then you would kind of see drug deals happening. And
Mm.
then we're coming back to pushing our kids in the stroller up to the park, and it was like every day taking the kids to the park, you'd have to pass 2 or 3 homeless people that were just screaming at the world,
Mm.
that they're just yelling at God, the universe, you, whoever, it didn't matter. And there was a couple of times where, I was like, oh man, like this is going to be an altercation. There was always the question, do we cross the street here where there's no crosswalk and risk the whole car interaction thing? Or do we go up to the corner where the guy's there screaming at the universe and you're going to have to pass him, and we've got the kids in the stroller, and deal with that? So
Yeah.
it became nerve-wracking to live there. So yeah.
That is absolutely wild and so weird that it's an area where there are so many. I know not everybody is rich and wealthy that's there, but there's very affluent parts, very luxurious parts, yet you've got that going on as well, which is a reflection of something a lot more sinister or dark going on.
Absolutely.
Well.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, thank you guys, everyone that's watching, whether you're watching live or the replay. And we just got to say right off the bat, as we're getting into this too, like we're feeling kind of strange as we're right before we started this video, Luke and I were talking to each other about how we were both feeling physically weird right before doing this show. Do you want to talk first what you're feeling, and then I'll say what I'm feeling?
I'm kind of like vibrating right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, my hands aren't really shaking, but they feel like they are internally.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling like, I had to just get out and go for a walk, because I couldn't tell, is it coming from my head? Is it coming from my gut? Is it, I've got sort of this warm sensation happening all over my body. I'm like, am I just anxious about going on and doing this show with Meg?
Mm-hmm.
Is it all the work that I was doing today? I don't know. And then I hopped on with you, and you were saying that you were feeling really weird. And I was like, whoa, what's going on with you? That's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's so weird. I came on in the backstage and I was like, I think I might be sick. And I'm still kind of feeling that right now. I feel sick to the pit of my stomach. And I think it's about this subject, actually. So we're going to try to keep it, as light and positive as possible, but being honest with you guys that this is a really intense subject. And I think we might even have to do a part 2 or a part 3. There's a lot to cover with this. So let us know, you guys, how you're all feeling. If you're in the Los Angeles area, if you have any experience, what's going on, or just your own intuitive impressions about this. When this first happened, Luke, when did the fire start? This was like January 6th, right? Or something like that?
Yeah. Right around the first week of January.
Being a conspiracy theorist, we know about weather manipulation. We know about, we're on YouTube and all this stuff, but I'm just going to say the weapons and all this kind of stuff. What was your first impressions with this?
Mine were immediately the dues. I mean, that was what I intuitively, instinctually, and maybe I'm programmed to think this way now because of Hawaii, because of what we saw happen in North Carolina with that was a hurricane. But to me, the way that the structures were burned, that was my initial reaction, was like, oh, this was an energy weapon. That was what I felt intuitively.
Yeah.
So, and I think Trump was alluding to that recently in that video where he was saying, I'm not going to say basically what you think I'm going to say, but that's what I'm thinking, what he was alluding to. Oh, this is him talking to the mayor here.
Yeah. Should we listen to this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me put that up there. Just one second, you guys. Loved him. And I love that Melania was there too. That made me very happy to see. Okay, let's listen to President Trump exchanging with the LA Mayor, Karen Bass.
And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris. And we're concerned right now over the weekend because of the potential rain, but we are going to move as fast as we can. But we want you to be safe. We want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't
Yes,
cost
and
a
they
lot.
can.
You
and
should
they are
let them
able
do it, because
No,
by the
they
time you
can do
hire
that.
contractors, it's
Right.
going to be 2 years.
If a
The
family
people are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
and they can
There's
do
not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours. And that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract that's going to charge him $25,000 to do his lot. I think you have emergency powers just like I do. And I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked,
signed
I
an
mean, you have a
emergency
very powerful
declaration.
emergency.
Love it.
And
Yes.
you can do
Yeah.
everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property,
And you
they
just
can.
look at this Karen, but all these people look evil, okay? They all look like
Yes, but
they've
you know
got
that you
some
will
weird
be able to-
vibe about them. Do you find that? Just
Yeah, just very good at deflecting and acting like they're doing something when they're not really doing anything.
Right.
Trying to pay that lip service. They're professional placaters.
Yeah.
That's what I get. And the politicians in California in particular, it's amazing to watch, because they get out there and they say all the right things, and they play a good game in front of the public eye. But what happens after that behind the scenes, it all just seems to be kind of the opposite. They take a bad situation and somehow they manage to make it worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And there's some comments I want to bring up. But before I do, did you get a chance yet to see any of RFK Jr.'s confirmation hearing from today yet?
I did. And that was intense too. Like, they were after him.
Yeah. And I knew, okay, of course, some of them are going to go after them. But I don't know if it's because, of course, we're going through this ascension process and we're starting to see through people even clearer. But that was unbelievably dark, how they were going after him. And also I was watching it and I was going, these people are literally actors. These people, like, okay, they're politicians, and I'm sure they've got the street cred and the, experience of being a politician, but they're literally actors doing this with the passion, not even letting him speak and going on these tyrants. And it's like, you're not even letting him speak, and what you're saying isn't even true. So you guys are just nuts. It was hard to watch.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of the whole game plan. If you don't let somebody speak and you make a whole lot of conjecture and statements and place a lot of blame or claims onto somebody and get really vehement about it, then you kind of make somebody look guilty and they haven't even had a chance to defend themselves. But I think it kind of worked in the opposite direction, because people are waking up, and people sit there and go, like, let the guy talk. You're not letting him say anything.
Yeah, definitely. And interesting too, Bobby lives in Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken, or in that area. Him and Cheryl Hines.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he's got some kind of connection with that whole thing going on too. So yeah, I feel the same as you with kind of your first impressions of right away going, okay, this just does not feel right. There's certain colors of things that are not being burned. We're hearing that the water reserves were not filled. We're seeing that there's the whole DEI in the fire department. Just, it's like you can't make this stuff up. Thing after thing showing, okay, this is not a normal situation. Plus, I forgot to bring this up on my slide deck. Jack Osborne, who I do like to follow. Jens and I love the Osbournes and Black Sabbath and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Jack Osborne, I don't know if you know, he's like a conspiracy theorist. He's like, and also very like likes the outdoors and common sense. And he's got a pretty cool YouTube channel.
All right.
And I'll try to bring it up here, you guys. And I was watching, he put out a story just a few days ago, or not a story, a YouTube video called, it might actually be called the same thing as our video today, I think. Oh no, his is, what is the, pause that, sorry guys. This is, what is the truth about the LA wildfires, on the Jack Osbourne YouTube channel. And of course, the Osbournes, Jack Osbourne, they lived there for several years.
Yeah.
And he brought up some really interesting points that I hadn't heard anybody talk about yet. One of them being, supposedly in the last 2 years, there's been huge amounts of rain in Los Angeles. Did you hear anything about that, Luke?
No.
There's been huge amounts of rain where he said it's not been normal, and all of the plants have grown like crazy because of the amounts of rain. So you think about, okay, another funny thing is they weren't doing proper brush cleanup.
Right.
And if they've been having all this crazy amount of rain, you're not doing the brush cleanup and everything's going to grow even bigger. Man, if there's a fire, that's all going to burn.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the other thing Jack brought up that I didn't even think of was, because of all that more rain that's been going on than usual, there's going to be a potential for future mudslides. So this is an area where you can have wildfires or fake fires. You can have mudslides. You can have tsunamis. You can have M. Lansing in the comments saying Dick Allgaier said there will be a tsunami and earthquake there as well. So I really hope that that's not the case, you guys, but definitely Luke and I are both expressing we're feeling very intense, heavy energy around this whole subject. So I would highly advise anybody that's in that area of Los Angeles, exercise caution, listen to your own spidey senses, because I feel like some shit's about to go down. Okay, that's Scorpio intense for me to say. Luke, do you want to expand on that? Like, what are you feeling about this going forward?
You know, I think back to when I lived there, and I think the following statement is still true. And it goes back to a statement in Shakespeare, which is, something is rotten in the state of Denmark. You know, the words that Hamlet begins with, that is what I felt about LA when I was living there. My parents, they came and they moved from Texas to LA after my daughter was born to, come be grandparents. Right. And, they managed this building that was not far from ours, just to like be close to us. They didn't have to do that. It was super gracious of them. And we were so excited to have them there. But they were there for about 9 months. And, I remember my dad had an altercation, a run-in with some guy that was trying to steal a bike. And the guy pulled a knife on him and just basically looked at him and was like, "What are you going to do?" And this is my dad. I mean, he's a Navy guy. Like, he could have done something, but what would you do like against a homeless guy trying to steal a bike with a knife? It's not worth it, so, but before we left, I was like, we got to get out of here. I'm like, something is not right here. And it's like rotten to the core. We need to leave.
Yeah, it feels like there's just a culmination of so many things happening in Los Angeles right now. And also, you sent this to me earlier. Don't know if this was today or another day. We'll just play this clip. There's also not just the devastation from the wildfires. People literally have just lost everything. Now we've got crazy chemicals in the air that can make turbo cancer and all this crazy stuff moving forward. But we've also got this looting and stealing and havoc going on. So sorry, you guys, this is a little bit of an intense video, but we just feel like we need to talk about this because this is really, really, I feel like this is really important to talk about, actually. So let's just play this X post from Wall Street Apes of illegal migrants caught taking food from a distribution center. I mean, this is freaking crazy.
We're serving the fire victims some free meals today.
They were not fire victims and were taking food from the distribution center.
Can you ask them if their house burnt down? No. So your house did not burn down. Their house did not burn down. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Then to do more due diligence, I went to an evacuation shelter.
Are there people in there that are here illegally?
We don't know because we don't ask.
Okay.
It looks like tax-funded money is being funneled into the Red Cross, who is providing food and shelter for illegal migrants that are intended for fire victims.
We're help serving the fire victims some free meals today.
And then there's also the whole element of this shit is so unorganized because it's become a completely woke place.
Yeah. I think that they need it to be that way.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, if it was organized, then you can't hide things. You can't blame any of the things that happen. Oh, we lost money. We don't know where it went. It's organized. You would be able to point to ledgers. You'd be able to point to bank statements and stuff like that to say, hey, you know, the money went over here. But, you know, they had that high-speed rail project that, you know, had billions of dollars pumped into it, never got built. I mean, and I shared that video with you about Gavin Newsom and them asking for money. I mean, that they're trying to raise money for a charity. The charity is being run by Act Blue, which is up to their ears in essentially claims of fraud. James O'Keefe did an entire piece on this back when he was at Project Veritas. I mean, it's literally, that was the company that was fraudulently claiming that thousands and thousands and thousands of people were donating the like small amounts of money to Act Blue, and that they were doing this like hundreds of times, to the point where James and his staff were going around asking people, hey, did you make all of these donations? And these people were like, no, I don't even have that much money, you know, because when you added it up, it was like thousands of dollars. And they were just shocked that their names were next to a ledger that basically said, yeah, you donated $16,000. You know, you didn't know that you did that, you know? So, I mean, it's highly suspicious.
Yeah, very extremely suspicious. And I think this is that video you're alluding to, right? The from A Man of Memes. Yeah, let's just take a little listen to that. This is freaking really interesting.
Newsom has been caught stealing donations that should be going towards the fire victims for his own personal political fund. Let me show you what I found. So Gavin Newsom put out this website to combat misinformation called CaliforniaFireFacts.com. And when I went to take a look at it, it leads to Gavin Newsom's own website. And there's a place where I could donate. Now I'm looking closely at this. Look what you're seeing, right? Where is the donations actually going? Now it says it's supposed to go directly towards the victims, but check out who's managing this fund. Take a look at that, right? Who is processing this money? It's Act Blue. If you don't know what Act Blue is a political PAC for Democratic candidates. So in fact, any money that we donate in this so-called fund, a portion of it is going towards Democratic political campaigns. I didn't want to believe it, but this is our governor. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys soon. So
the corruption goes so deep. It is absolutely crazy. And this was, what was this, Luke? This was an article where you can read kind of like the proof of that charity is connected to Act Blue and the Democrats.
The article itself, or what are you talking about?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, what we've got. Oh, sorry. I thought you could see what I've got up.
Oh, okay.
It's still the video. This is from MSN.com. Potential Act Blue criminal charges over possible fraud donations.
Yeah.
Once again revealed. Yeah. So you guys can go read that one. You can find that on MSN.
That was all relating to all of those donations that, you know, people were going around asking like, hey, did you donate all this money? No, I didn't donate that money.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I'll just, before we bring up the LA chart, I'll bring up Gavin Newsom's chart, since we're on the subject for that. There's very interesting similarities between a lot of these darker, nefarious individuals at the moment in their astrology. Spicy Dame says, did not know this. He keeps sinking lower. Yeah, just when you think it can't get any worse, right? Interesting that Gavin Newsom, Luke, can you see?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he's, I mean, you can't, with these people, you can't make it up. Just, you can't make this stuff up. So he's a Libra with his moon in Capricorn. Okay, that could go, you know, I have my moon in Capricorn too, but that can go either really good or either really bad. And then Virgo rising with Pluto exactly conjunct his rising.
Ooh,
So that's
sounds
like,
bad.
he's bad. Are you going to be positive with the Pluto power or be completely dark and evil? And we're seeing that play out.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is in 2025, we're going to have both of our eclipse seasons will have Virgo eclipses. The first one in March will be a 23-degree Virgo eclipse on March 14th. And then we're going to have on September 21st, a new moon Virgo eclipse, 29 degrees. And both of those eclipses will be conjunct Gavin Newsom's Pluto, conjunct his rising.
Wow.
So exposing, right, of who he is and his public image. I mean, and this is showing up in a lot of these guys' charts for 2025.
Ooh.
And I know, Luke, I think you're a lot more kind of researched on the whole tribunals and stuff going on more than me. What do you think is coming up in 2025 for some? Do you feel like a lot of these people have already been tried, or do you feel like there's still a lot of kind of tribunals, things to take place?
I definitely think people have already been tried.
Yeah.
I also think that they've saved people for us to see happen live. You know, they've saved some of the show for us,
Right.
so that, you know, we're not just watching the rerun. But I definitely think these trials and tribunals, some of them have already happened. In my book, I talk about this, and yes, I am of the belief that some of these people have already been removed from the scene, and they are under mask. And if you don't think that somebody can be under mask and be being played by an actor, think again, because there was a woman back in the early 90s when the first George Bush was president, and she was in charge of a research and development project for the CIA all around mask use. And she was essentially giving a presentation to President Bush Sr. at the time, and sat in the meeting with him the entire time across the table from him, telling him why this research was so important. And to emphasize her point at the end of the meeting, she took her mask off. And George Bush, who was notoriously known for being stoic and tight-lipped and, you know, sort of non-emotional, apparently thought the thing was wildly hilarious and loved the fact that she did that. And I think that sealed the deal for her. She closed that deal after, you know, she took her mask off and he realized, oh my God, I was talking to somebody else the entire time. And that was 30 years ago. And if you don't think that by now this technology has improved, what was that? Or is it?
Oh, I didn't say anything. Did you hear something?
Weird. Something just came through my speaker here, like somebody else was talking.
Oh, I didn't say anything. That's weird.
That was bizarre.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so yeah, if you don't think that basically this mask technique, the technology, and paired with what is now CGI, couldn't fool you, I think, quite frankly, to be very plain about it, you're being a little naive to think that, hey, you know, people play actors on TV every single day, and we see incredible actors go out there and put performances together that, you know, playing people like Winston Churchill, and they look nothing like the guy. So, you know.
What the heck? Okay, that's wild. And I have gotten to that part. I think you do it in separate parts in the book where you're talking about, you're breaking down the military tribunals. And I was so tripped out by the pictures you put in of supposedly, possibly Hillary Clinton at, what would that be?
It would have been Gitmo.
Oh
I mean, And
wild.
I ran those through because I was like, man, if I'm going to put this in, I got to have something. And so I ran those pictures through a picture, an AI image detector.
Mhm.
And I ran it through 3 image detectors, and they all came back saying, this is 90 whatever percent a real image.
Wow.
And so I ran other pictures through, by the way, and I ran pictures through from 9/11. And oddly enough, the pictures would come back, oh, this is not a real image.
Mhm.
So, we're still on YouTube. Meg, you got to keep me on track here. I'm notorious for getting kicked off of social media. So
We've both got Pluto in our 10th house right now in our transit, so we got to be careful, you guys. Shelly says, what would be an indicator that some people have been tried already? I don't know if we can talk. Fuck it, I don't know if we can talk about that, but let's talk about it.
Well, back years ago, there were what people were calling the COVID comms. Do you remember this?
I remember that, yeah.
I think the COVID comms were definitely a real thing. And what those were essentially politicians by the dozens going out on social media, and they were saying almost the exactly same thing. And it was something to the degree of, we came down with COVID. We were vaxxed, and now we're keeping ourselves. We're basically keeping ourselves contained. We're putting ourselves on house arrest type of thing, right? So there were all of these, comms, and I don't have the sheet in front of me, and I don't remember the exact details of this off the top of my head, but look this up. And the COVID comms really seemed to me like a real thing. And then certain politicians, their Twitter pictures would go from being a picture of, a color picture to a black and white picture.
That was so weird. I remember that.
And I mean, I'm telling you, it was hundreds of tweets, and they were saying, they were framing the tweets in exactly the same way.
That's crazy.
And it was just bizarre. So, if it's not a comm of some sort, then, all of these people have some social media writer that's extremely lazy that's decided, oh, you know what, we're just going to use this phrase across the board. And that's how we're going to put this out there.
Oh my God, it's absolutely wild. So yeah, whether or not it's, the real Gavin Newsom or not, I do feel like with him having that Pluto conjunct his rising, and it's going to be conjunct particularly the March eclipse, March 14th, not 13th. I think it's 13th before. That's going to be full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. So full moons are about endings, also exposing, illuminating what needs to be revealed. So I think around March or within the 6-month period after that March eclipse season, we could see a serious court trial involving Gavin Newsom for crimes, if there are any. Allegedly, I'll say.
Yeah. And to me, his behavior, his body language reads as extremely guilty. In the press conferences that he's had, where he just keeps wiggling back and forth, and he's doing this with his arms. And to me, that's the body language of somebody who's trying to distract you from something that's going on. It's like a little kid that's trying to lie to your face, and they're like, oh no, it's over there, and at the same time, they're trying to hold in the fact that they know that they've done something culpable, and they just can't keep their bodies still, right? So I think his body language reads extremely guilty.
Yeah, for sure. And that also makes me think about David Avocado Wolf, who I really like to follow. He very on a regular basis posts the videos of these weird people, squirming or doing these weird things. And he equates it to parasites, right? That when you have parasites, you can't sit still. And it's kind of a lower vibration where your body's reacting and you're like filled with parasites. People do that. So we see that a lot with these certain people, which is really interesting. I want to bring up too the astrology chart for Los Angeles. There's a lot to say about this, but I feel like the main thing that I want to share is, well, actually two main things I want to share. It is a Virgo sun, and we are having eclipses in Virgo in 2025. So it is a very fated time for the city of Los Angeles. Actually, three things. If you're a Virgo in 2025, you're going to have very big life changes with eclipses in your sign, endings of what no longer serve, new beginnings that are in higher alignment. And interesting that Virgo is the sign that rules purity and to keep the energy clean. And it's weird that Los Angeles, a lot of it seems to be obsessed with health and perfectionism. But really, when you look beyond the surface, okay, this chart has Pluto right at the bottom of the chart on what we call the IC. So the most secretive, vulnerable, private part of the chart. So there's major secrets and nefarious things that have been going on in the city. And now in the current astrology, Los Angeles is having its Pluto return, which only happens around every 240 years. So people don't have Pluto returns, but countries or cities, if they last that long, do. And that's what the USA just went through the past couple of years. The USA has its Pluto at 27 degrees Capricorn. What did we see with that? Huge upheaval and transformation and secrets being revealed. And in this case, it's even more intense for LA because it's right on, the Pluto is on what we call one of the angles of the chart. So, you know, the rising, the IC, the descendant, the midheaven, those are the angles that if you have anything on those angles in a chart, it's a huge influence. So as an astrologer, I'm kind of looking at these transits like, okay, this is going to be really challenging for Los Angeles for the next 2 to 3 years. And I don't think this is going to be the only crisis. I want to be wrong about that. Some of you guys may think I'm being negative. Okay. But I want to be wrong about that. I think there's more to come with this place. And I think it's going to be weird because it's a Pluto in Aquarius. And I think it's going to be unpredictable, unexpected, but it's definitely going to affect homes because that's a Pluto in the 4th house of homes and families and communities.
Wow.
And it's going to be exact in 2026, this Pluto return.
Wow.
Any thoughts around that, Luke? Any feelings around kind of the coming year, 2 years for LA? What do you think?
Well, just looking at what happened now, I don't see how it couldn't get more intense, really, because if we just look at it from a logical perspective, what's happened? A large landmass has burned. I mean, it's tens of thousands of structures that has burned, right? A large amount of acreage. So what is that going to lead to? Well, for one, those people don't have homes anymore. So they've got to go somewhere. If they stay in LA, that's going to lead to them having to go further inward and go towards, you know, where there is still houses. So pushing people into the more denser areas. Now you've got an area where there's more density. You're bringing more people into that. There's more desperation added to that. And now there's also less resources because there are less stores. You know, the places there's a great video where you see, you know, sort of an iconic store that had burnt down there up in the Palisades that I remember being like, oh my, we used to drive by that.
Yeah.
So, you know, areas where people were able to get resources, there's less of that. So there's less area where people can actually go and do their shopping. So less resources, more demand, more desperation, less houses. I think you're a pressure cooker for a very tense and compounded problem. And if you're living there and you're not looking at this, you know, I just encourage you to really think about this and think about why you're staying there. Because there's still people that I know and I love in LA, and I hope that they leave, quite frankly, because I do think it's going to get worse. And I don't think that it's beneficial to stick our heads in the sand and, assume it's going to get better. Because, I think LA and the culture there can sort of suffer from a toxic positivity.
Right.
Like people can be toxically negative, but you can also be toxically positive too. Pretending like things are okay when they're not okay is, to me, just not a healthy way to live. So that was why I was, feeling every day like I have to get out of here. And that was years ago. So I think it's only worse now. And not to mention, I'm still a friend of mine that still lives out there. I mean, I was just talking to him the other day, and he was saying, the prices for houses and rent is already going up.
Wow.
Some places are already going up 20%. So, I mean, it's already an expensive place, and I used to property manage out there. And I'm telling you, I was managing a building that had 100 apartments in it and renting apartments that were $3,000 a month and being like, yeah, so by the way, don't go down there. That's where all the homeless people are. Or, yeah, the guy that lives right outside, yeah, it's for free. He lives there for free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh my God,
it's a bad situation. I do just think on its head, even without the predictions of somebody like Dick and looking at there with the astrology, which, by the way, huge astrology believer, as Meg knows. That's how I met Meg. She's now my personal astrologer. She's phenomenal. But I'm a big believer in astrology, and it's the whole as above, so below thing. And so, if it's there in the charts, it's just like I was telling Meg before the call today. If in math you were to say, hey, what's 2 + 2?
Right.
You can't pretend it's 5 just because that's more convenient. So if Meg's saying that Pluto down on the IC down here is bad news, then I'm going to take her word for it.
Yeah. And that's the Scorpio Pluto journey, that sometimes that toxic positivity, poo-poos, and people poo-poo Scorpios. And of course, and I am a Scorpio, of course, it is the darkest sign, and Scorpios and Pluto ruled people like Gavin Newsom with Pluto right on his rising. It can go either way. It's what you do with that power. But that's the medicine behind Pluto, is it is going to fuck shit up. It is going to make, if you've ever experienced a Pluto transit, Luke and I both have Capricorn in our charts. Yeah. So we just experienced the last 15 years of Pluto. Oh my God. We made it. It's no joke, you guys. So for me personally, if I was someone living in LA, I would exercise caution. I would definitely have, and some of you guys may think I'm like really intense saying this, but I would have a bag prepared for any situation that I can just grab and leave. That's how serious this is.
Get your bug out bag.
Get your bug out bag, which is just common sense. And, it's a Pluto return for LA. Plus, with the moon at 3 degrees of Aries, we're having in 2025 and 2026 something that we have not had since Babylonian times, which is Saturn and Neptune exactly conjunct at the beginning of Aries. 0 and 1 degrees. So that's Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which is the total dissolving, Neptune is dissolving, of systems and structures of the matrix that no longer serve us. We're all going through that as a collective. That's why things are so crazy right now. But it's really going to be experienced in LA. It's right on the moon, which represents homes and the people and the community and the emotional foundation. So, wow, I feel like this is going to be an ongoing situation for sure. And I feel like the cool thing about Pluto is if you do the shadow work with Pluto or Saturn, the malefic planets, they'll actually reward you. So if Los Angeles actually kind of comes around and goes, okay, we're done with the woke agenda, or we're done with, we're going to expose Hollywood. Like if as a collective, they actually do the shadow work together, this could actually be a very powerfully positive healing time. And maybe things can turn around in a more positive manner. But if things are going to continue to be kind of swiped away, there may be some more intense things that come up for sure. Yeah. So did you want to say something?
I was just going to say, I still think that they're going to have their Donnie Darko moment too. I mean,
I didn't watch that movie. Can you explain that? Because I didn't get a chance to watch that movie.
Yeah. So Donnie Darko is a phenomenal movie. It came out in the late 90s, early 2000s. It must have been in it. Yeah, it was after 2000, 2002 maybe. And Jake Gyllenhaal's in it. And, you know, the synopsis of the story is he ends up going through like a time loop, a time portal. He's this, you know, kind of disturbed high school kid that, you know, sleepwalks. And in his sleepwalking and then eventually in his waking state, he starts seeing a 6-foot bunny rabbit. So he's literally also following kind of the white rabbit is kind of a theme in this movie too. Only it's a very demented looking 6-foot bunny rabbit is talking to him and telling him what to do. And Patrick Swayze's in the movie, and Patrick Swayze plays this guy named Jim Cunningham, and he's almost like a Tony Robbins type of character. You know, he's a Hollywood motivational speaker that, you know, is sort of telling people where to find love and how to live their life and that sort of thing. And, you know, Donnie's got a couple of scenes with this guy, but what ends up happening is Frank, the 6-foot bunny rabbit there, tells Donnie one night while he's at the movie theater with his girlfriend, and Frank shows up, he's in the movie theater and they're the only two there, and asks him if he's ever seen a portal. And he shows Donnie a portal there while his girlfriend's falling asleep. They're watching the movie Evil Dead. And Frank shows Donnie a portal. And then he shows him in the portal, he shows him this guy, Jim Cunningham's house, and he tells him to burn it down. So Donnie leaves the movie theater and he goes and he burns down Jim Cunningham's house. And, you know, 10 minutes later in the movie, you know, you see the firefighters putting the fire out and everything, and they're going through the house and they find this room underneath the house that is like used for, you know, pedo type of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And so this guy that, you know, had this, you know, squeaky clean image that's telling people where to find love and how to live their life has now been exposed for pedo activity on fire. And I think, and what I saw in my meditation was that people were going to go into this part of Hollywood, it's not Hollywood, but into whether it's the Palisades or Altadena. People are going to go into these areas where the place has been burnt down, and they're going to be going through the rubble, going through the ash, and they're going to find the tunnels, right? And so maybe we should watch that video by who I keep wanting to call him Cat Williams, but it's not Cat Williams. It's,
yeah, let me bring that up.
So anyway, you know, in my meditation, I saw that people were going to go in and that they were going to find things like that.
Holy crap.
That, you know, yes, evidence was burned, but these tunnels, the things that they're going to find under these houses is going to be enough for some people to be like, that's it.
Wow. Oh my God. Okay. Let's listen to this clip. And I have to watch that movie.
It's so good. It's
Eddie Griffin. I don't know. What's this guy been in? Because I don't recognize this guy.
Eddie Griffin's a comedian. And, you know, I can't think of a movie off the top of my head, but, you know, stand up and stuff like that.
Stand up comedian. Okay. Let's check out what he says here about what the realness behind the fires is all about.
Yeah.
So you straight, no chaser. Let's get right to it. LA is on fire. Now, a lot of people saying it's to cover up the pedophile trail, and all of a sudden the water ain't working. And hold on, 60% of the water rights is owned by this fucking couple. What's their name? Yeah, the wonderful company is owned by this husband and wife team. They own pistachio, they own Fiji water. I stopped drinking any of that around the motherfucking globe. Let them motherfuckers go broke. Feeding the pistachios and the almonds, all that goddamn water. Meanwhile, people's houses burning down, dying of thirst and shit. All these sons of bitches. And the regulators who allowed them motherfuckers to own 60% of the goddamn water. Fire them motherfuckers too, goddamn it. What the fuck is y'all problem? That is public water. We built the dam that's holding that water and all that shit with taxpayers' dollars. How the fuck y'all gonna sign it over to this goddamn couple? Sons of bitches. Let's pray for the motherfuckers out there that houses is burning down and shit, unless they pedophiles. If they pedophiles, come let that shit burn. Cause yeah, I know what you're doing. You're burning the evidence up, sons of bitches, but we still gonna catch it. And let somebody do some research. In the rich neighborhoods, who had already left their house and knew that the fire was coming? Hello and welcome to another.
I think every news station needs to just sound like that.
Totally. Especially like these days, for sure.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. Sunny's in the chat. She says, what does NNN stand for? LOL.
Oh, I'll give you one guess.
She says undercover brother.
The Blank News Network.
Blank, yes, something. That's absolutely wild. Wow, well, I'm never drinking Fiji water again.
Yeah.
Thought that was one of the it's just once you go down the rabbit hole, it never ends.
Yeah.
There's more and more layers.
Right.
Where you thought you were safe and you're not safe, and now the Fiji water isn't okay, and now the pistachios and the almonds aren't okay.
Right.
Oh my God. So this is okay. And that totally goes with the astrology too. Like that's Pluto. Okay. Yeah. Like underground tunnels is ruled by Pluto. Anything underground, the darkest sides of life, the P word, anything related to that. This is not over yet. And maybe, hopefully it is not more natural disasters that are going to be taking place, but there's definitely going to continue to be major dark secrets and truths being exposed that might be so disgusting that a lot of people just leave. Right? Like you were saying, Luke, like people see what's really been going on. And oh, sorry, I thought I was bringing up the chart. I keep on my end. There's a new way that I show the video. Sorry, guys, where I think you're seeing what I'm seeing, but you're not. Okay. So yeah, with Pluto return, it's like I said, going to be freaking nuts. Ninja News Network, is that what it is? I don't know. I don't know what NNN stands for. My ninjas.
Yeah.
Yes. That is hilarious. And oh my God, there's so much to that. I also wanted to share this video. Don't think I shared this with you, Luke, around. This is from Vego Ben on Instagram. The poisonous air in LA is not being talked about enough. So here's a summary. So let's just, this is a whole other layer, which Pluto also rules poisoning, to be poisoned in medical astrology. So listen to this, you guys. Oh, is there not?
Homes and cars, they turned them into poisonous air. Hazardous chemicals like lead, benzene, and chlorine were released as urban structures burned. Lead concentrations spiked to dangerous levels, and burning plastics released lung-damaging chlorine. The danger didn't end when the flames were extinguished. Toxic ash contaminated with heavy metals and carcinogens still threatens communities. Even worse, PM 2.5 particles carry these toxins deep into the body, increasing the risk of heart attacks, strokes, and cancer. Experts warn that the long-term health impacts could include respiratory damage, developmental issues in children, and higher cancer rates.
Wow. So there's emotional trauma, there's mental trauma, there's physical, serious physical health effects that might happen the same way that after 9/11, there was, people got the different poisonings from all the buildings falling down and then inhaling all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is freaking intense.
Yeah.
Crazy. So,
by the way, I haven't seen anything on a body count yet.
That is a very good point. I heard something like only 30 people, but that's pretty hard to believe.
That's very hard to believe. I mean, maybe it's true, and God bless us if it is. But man, I have a hard time seeing how that's possible when that many houses and structures were burnt down.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that, I think is worth mentioning and talking about, and the pets and animals, I see Sunny there. Yeah, I've been thinking about that too, like not really seeing any of that stuff, Where are the people that got lost? What about the pets and animals? It's just not being talked about. I don't know. I haven't seen it at all. So maybe I'm just missing it, but if you guys have, share it in the, where did all the homeless people go? I mean,
yeah.
Hey, those people might be the most agile, quite frankly, you got everything that you can, push in your grocery cart and, just walk to the next area or whatever. But,
right.
There's also a large amount of mental illness that is in that community as well. I mean, there's drug use paired with mental illness, and it's hard to tell where one ends and the next begins, and what's in, did the mental illness come before the drug use, or did the drug use cause the mental illness?
Right.
So, there's just a lot of people there that aren't in a good state of mind to begin with, now trapped in an emergency situation.
Mm-hmm.
And these are already desperate people. I can't tell you how many times when I was living there just 3 years ago that I was dealing with, people getting their cars broken into, people getting their packages stolen. Forget about Christmas. If you had stuff sent to the building and it sat out there, like it probably was going to get stolen. And, when I would call the cops and have them come up, I mean, they would literally just tell me there's nothing that we can do, and they might take a report, but that police force there has been neutered, and it seems to me that it's by design.
Yeah, for sure. It's I just keep saying super intense situation, and something that I think we're going to keep an eye on, because it doesn't feel like it's over yet, for sure. And I'm so happy that you and your wife
Grace,
I know her name, I just didn't know if I could say her name or not in the video. I'm so happy that you and Grace left and you're in a much more safe place.
Me too.
About that. And we're sending lots of love to everyone that's out there in the area being affected, and use your caution and follow your own spidey senses. And this goes for all of us during these times, you guys. Like, all of us with Uranus and Taurus right now until 2026, it's unstable no matter where you are on the planet. So expect weird weather events, expect, unpredictable things with the nature, and be prepared for that. Be prepared for any possible situation, right? Because who would have expected we were going to start 2025 with this?
Yeah, not at all. And Meg, I was going to ask, is there anything in the astrology for LA about the water?
About the water, let's take a look. That's a good question. Didn't think about that. Having to do with the water.
Because all of those pollutants that were just being listed off are not just going to go into the air, but they're going to end up in the land. They're going to end up in the water. I think fresh water is going to be a problem.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's interesting because the Los Angeles's Pluto is at 4 degrees, which is a Cancer degree. The water is in the 4th house of Cancer, which is the water, the oceans, more specifically areas near oceans. And then the Pluto of Los Angeles is in a trine, which is a good aspect, but it is a Pluto return to Neptune, the ruler of also the seas and waters, ruler of Pisces, in the 12th house of Pisces. So yeah, poisoning of the water. Also, Aquarius is the air, and the invisible systems.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the poisoning is going to actually be through the air. It's actually invisible. And yes, it's in the water, but it's profound what's going on with the air.
Yes. And you said invisible systems, and it reminded me of the smart meters. Look into the smart meters, guys, because there is a theory going around about the smart meters and why these structures were completely burnt down to the ground. And it has to do with those meters and lithium batteries, and those meters being connected to copper wiring that's in the house, and then that lithium battery essentially burning. And those, when they start to burn, will hit a temperature sometimes of like 6,000 degrees. So you then have that going through copper wiring in the house, and it's bringing it everywhere. So I'm having mine taken off of mine. So, just look into it.
Yeah, that's very, very smart. Thank you so much for sharing that. Laura says, video showing meters exploding. Yeah, Dizzy says, yes, I saw that. Sunny in the chat says, the snake coming through strong to show you what's wrong and will grow the seeds of what's right. Shiva Shambho. Yes, today is a new moon in Aquarius as we're speaking, and first day of the Chinese Lunar New Year of the snake, which is very scorpionic Pluto energy of revealing and transformation and cleansing as well. So it's so true. We're past the hour mark here on the show, Luke. Anything else that you want to bring up before we finish up today's?
No, I think we covered everything that I really wanted to touch on. You did a great job hosting the show. Thanks, Meg.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm feeling physically better. Are you feeling physically better yet?
I am. I had some good shakes during this the show here, so I think I jittered them all away.
Okay, good. I think maybe we helped to transmute something.
Yes.
Happy that we're both feeling better. So you guys, thank you so much for joining us for this Truth About the Los Angeles Fires video. And you can go check out Red Pill Rooster over on TikTok. Give him a follow on TikTok with his cool videos and content. They're also on the Rumble channel as well, Red Pill Rooster 17. You got your ex back, didn't you?
I did. I got I got my X channel. Basically, they said it was permanently suspended on Sunday morning after I sent Meg like 30, direct messages, and I think they thought I was some kind of like bot that was harassing people. So they shut me down, but I seem to be pretty good at getting kicked off of social media.
It must be something in your chart. We'll have to look at that.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an astrological remedy for that.
I hope so.
Thank you guys so much for the positive comments. And again, go check out Luke's amazing book, Confessions of a Conspiracy Theorist. Don't forget to take your red pills by RP Rooster on Amazon. Go check it out. And looking forward to doing possibly more content with you, videos coming up into 2025. It's going to be a wild ride with this Saturn-Neptune conjunction we got going on. So it's like getting used to a lot being released and completely new systems being revealed. It's going to be very, very interesting, to say the least. So thank you so much for joining me, Luke. Always a pleasure. And we're sending lots of love to all of you out there, and see you all very soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye,
Love you.